Hi everyone, I hope everyone is staying safe, healthy, and importantly happy. This year is a bit different because of the COVID-19 situations. And I really appreciate the organizers' passions to continue to provide a platform for everyone from different sectors and from different expertise, the parents, the educators to share and to learn together, even during this tough time. I am Ling and I'm a behavior analyst for 10 years. But please take note that this presentation is not behavior analytic in nature and I am not covered by my BACB credential. I am currently doing my PhD at University of Reading and I am interested in areas such as autism, rapid behaviors, emotion regulation, and executive functioning. So, in this presentation, we will go through the daily challenges of children with weak executive functioning. And then we will talk about how do we relate these daily challenges to science and how can we use science to support and make significant changes in classroom to support our children. So in school, as an educator, we often pay more attention to problematic behaviors than good behaviors in general. If a child is sitting and working on tasks quietly, we may not give them as much attention as we give to those who are running around in the classroom. This is our human nature, in which our brain filter and focus on problems that we have to solve. So problematic behaviors are like the visible part of an iceberg. We notice when a child is not paying attention. We get annoyed when a child does not remember or follow our instructions. And even though no matter how we have explained or we have repeated the concept, they still get confused. Or they may also forget their belongings, okay, forgetting Tupperware, which my mom would really get mad with me if I forget and lose her Tupperware. And for children who like to argue with peers or challenge authority or have tantrum, stubbornness, and etc., all these behaviors, okay, are significant. However, we might have missed the important underlying mechanism of all this behavior that we find problematic in our classroom. These behaviors could be due to poor working memory, poor emotion regulation, inflexible cognitive connections, poor organizational skills, and weak inhibitions. These are the underlying mechanisms we may not notice, and it is our job as a researcher to identify the underlying mechanism of this behavior in order to support our students better in the classroom. So here comes the use of science in daily classroom challenges. And when we talk about all these challenges, when we talk about science, we will focus mainly on executive functioning in this presentation and to see how does this aspect of science help and support students better in the classroom. So what is executive functioning? Executive functioning is a set of mental skills that have been found to play an essential role in goal-directed behavior. In literature, there are many models used to explain executive function. But in this presentation, okay, we will only focus on the three most popular abilities. Okay, working memory, inhibitory control, as well as cognitive flexibility. So let's start with the first one, working memory. Working memory, okay, is the skill in which we use to hold information, organize the information, process, and then use the information to perform a task or to achieve a goal. There are two types of working memories. The first one, the visual spatial working memory, as well as the verbal or auditory working memory. I have prepared an example here. So when we have a goal such as baking butter cake, okay, so we have to carry out all the steps from the recipe to achieve this goal, to bake butter cake. From this recipe, we know that we have all this information that we need: an oven, sugar, flour, mixer, butter, vanilla, and so on. So what do we do after we have read the recipe? So from the recipe, okay, we hold all this information in our mind, organize them into sequence, process it, and then perform the steps. If we are not able to hold the information in our mind, we may have to get back and forth reading the recipe again and again. If we can't organize them, then we may again have to keep checking each step. Individuals with weak working memory may indeed find it very effortful to have to carry out the simple same task as we could. So what about in the classroom? This is an example of us baking a cake. How does it actually look like in the classroom? So here, if we have a long and complicated questions with multiple brackets, like the questions here, we need again hold the numbers in our mind, and then we have to organize them into sequence and then process them to get the answers. So you can see from here, we have 4 plus 5 times 20 plus 15 minus 15 divided by 3 plus 9 minus 4. So all this information, after we have hold in our mind, then we organize them into sequence and then solve them. So you can see how important is working memory in solving basic mathematical questions. For children who have weak working memory, they may find it difficult to solve the problems, and maybe they may find it effortful. So even before they would finish solving a problem, they may give up. Okay, and sometimes, okay, besides solving questions, solving mathematical problems, they may also forget things. They may forget where did they stop when they are reading, and they may not be able to continue. And or sometimes we may find them daydreaming more frequently than other children. So how can we help them and these children with weak working memory in the classroom? So firstly, we can actually break down a long instruction into a short one, which only consists one or two instructions in that particular instructions. And we give that one at a time. We can also emphasize the steps that are needed to solve a problem. For example, in these questions, after the child has read the questions, we can help and encourage the child to come up with this simple model over here to solve these mathematical questions. Now, from this mathematical question, you can see it is very wordy, and the child may not understand the whole mathematical problems by only reading these questions. And what do we have to do? So when we build this model for the child is able to break down all this information into chunks and then do it step by step. So these are the strategies. And beside that, we can also use simple visual aid or materials to teach. It is actually particularly important for us as educators to always make use of the technologies that are available to help our students. And you can see here, I am using a countdown label to signal where are we now in this presentation and how long more do we have to go. So now, if you know that we are here, okay, it's not too long to wait until the end of this presentation. So this simple technique can be very helpful too. We are not talking about technology that are complicated and expensive. Simple and cheap and small gesture like this can actually be very helpful for your children, your students with weak executive functioning. And yes, and this is also another strategy is using materials, using visual. Besides that, for children with weak working memory, we do not encourage them to multitask. And instead, we reinforce them, okay, we encourage them to focus on a task at a time. So a part of us helping them, encouraging them, we can also teach them how to self-monitor. And here we have a video, and this video shows one of my students who used to-do lists and reminders to monitor her own performance. And I'm going to play this video, and you will find a lot of to-do lists, a lot of templates that they collected and put and keep in on a clipboard that she brings along with her everywhere that she goes. Okay, so when I'm presenting this presentation, I would like to show the real life strategies that we have been using. So I asked her to actually take a video of her own template to show you how does she encourage and always check herself and remind herself with simple tactic like this, and it works very well with her. So what and there is another strategy that she is using is that she used post-it notes and she put all these post-it notes on her wall when she's presenting to remind herself what to do and what not to do. So these simple self-check or simple tactic are actually very helpful for our students to work on their independency. So then the next executive functions that I would like to talk about is inhibitory control. And we can see from here, inhibitory control is a skill which helps us to control our dominant behavior. These pictures that are taken from marshmallow experiment. And you can see from these two pictures, in this experiment, the child was told not to eat the marshmallow until the experimenter returned. So if the child eats the marshmallow before the experimenter returns, he or she would not get another or extra marshmallow as reinforcer. But if the child could wait for the experimenter to return, then he would get 2 to 3 marshmallow as reward. So the child has to inhibit and control the temptation and their behavior to eat the marshmallow and wait for the experimenter's return. And here, and This ability actually enables us to regulate our own behaviors, the natural behaviors, and select a more appropriate behavior in response to the environmental stimulus and eventually to achieve the goals. So these are the tests that we use in research to measure our inhibitory control. I believe you are familiar with group tasks in which we use to inhibit our behavior. We have to stop ourselves labeling the color of the words and instead read the word. So like let's say the first one is in red color, but it is also red. Okay. And the second is in blue color, it is also blue. But eventually it will comes to blue, the word blue in green color. So what we have to do here is we have to inhibit our behavior to label the color green, and then we have to say the color, the word, we have to read the word blue. So this is how, and in research, we use to test our inhibitory control. So children with poor inhibitory control, they get distracted very easily in the classroom. They may have difficulty waiting for their turn. They may have finished they may finish their homework very quickly, but incorrectly. They just want to finish off all their homeworks and they do not care about the accuracy of their homework. And they are also very likely to explore and touch everything around them, even though they are told not to do that. So, to support these children in the classroom, we have to keep the distraction as low as possible. Again, besides keeping the distractions as low as possible, we may also use simple tactics like ruler, okay, or a sentence pointing bookmark to keep them on task when they are reading. We can also encourage them to be patient, to spend some time to think first before they answer. So this could help them to train their inhibitions, to regulate their dominant behavior, to control that, and to select a more appropriate behavior. Then, the last executive functioning that I would like to talk about is cognitive flexibility. Cognitive flexibility is a skill which helps us to transition from one task to another, or from one routine to another, or to think in more than one way. For example, when I'm reading the sentence that we can use this watch to watch movie. In this sentence, we have two words and they are the same, watch and watch. So when we are reading and trying to comprehend this sentence, we have to switch from the meaning watch, the item, to watch, the action. Children with poor cognitive flexibility may find it challenging to do that. They may find it challenging to comprehend sentences with multi-meaning words because they cannot shift from one word or one meaning to the other. And here, this is Wisconsin card sorting. It is a test to measure our cognitive flexibility. I'm going to show you roughly how about this test, okay, and how does this test measure our cognitive flexibility. In this test, we can see there's one card at the top and four cards at the bottom. You have to choose one card from the bottom to match the card above them. So if I choose red triangle, that means I want to match their shape. If I choose stars, that means I want to match their number. If I choose crosses, then that means I want to match their colors. So now, we do not know which one is right and which one is wrong, or which one should we match or which one should we not. And how do we know if we are getting it correct? We will let the consequence to tell us whether our behavior is correct or not. And then if it is not correct, we have to change our behavior to another. So now we have 3 features and we have to choose one of the feature. And here in this trial, even though I do not know which feature is this trial expecting me to choose, but I will simply choose one of the feature. I'm going to match their colors. So I'm going to press this and to see whether it's correct or not. So after I press this, which is the crosses to match their colors, apparently it is correct. So what does that mean? That means, yes, this trial wants me to match their colors. So in the following trials, we have to continue to match based on their colors until the rule changes. So I have prepared a short videos, okay, to show you how does the whole thing work. I'm going to play this video. Colors, green, red, green, blue. Now, the rule has changed. So that means we should no longer choose colors because it won't be correct anymore. So now we have to choose another. What can we choose? Okay, so we can see from here. Again, if we choose the stars, that means we are matching their colors. If we choose crosses, that means we are matching their shape. If we choose the circles, that means we are matching their number. Just now, we have a tick saying that the rule has changed. So we should no longer match the color anymore. And we have to choose between selecting the number or the shape. If we select either one and it is correct, then we can continue the behaviors. But if it is wrong, then we have to change to another feature. So again, we have number and we have shape to select. So let's see. Now, I'm going to select number to see whether it is right or wrong. So apparently it is wrong. If number is wrong, color is wrong, what do we have to do? We have to change our answer from choosing these two to shape. So now, what is happening here? Cognitive flexibility enables us to change from selecting one feature to another feature immediately to get the correct response. So children with weak cognitive flexibility may actually find it very difficult to do that because after they have changed a feature and aspect, it's very difficult for them to know what is the next correct feature that they have to choose if the previous one is incorrect. And we could see here, how does the whole thing look like in the classroom? So like I mentioned, Children with poor cognitive flexibility may find it challenging when routine changes, or they may use the same solution for different problems, and they may solve different problems using the same solution. And sometimes, yeah, it is difficult for them to see and to understand other people's perspective. So now, having all these difficulties in the classroom can be challenging for them. It can also be very effortful for them to adapt into the social environment. How can we support them? And here, again, I think I've been talking about using technology, using some simple tactics to support them in the classroom. And here is timer. We can use timer to signal transition in schedule or in timetable. So and we can show them how much time left towards the next routine or the next activity. Beside timer, we can also separate their work into two different paper or two different pages to make it distinctive. Like here, we have all additions in one page, and we may have all subtraction in another page. When we are teaching new concept or when we are teaching new information, it's also very important to make the new information more distinctive from the old one. So they are able to separate and they are able to understand and differentiate the differences between the old and the new information. So in school, many educators have started teaching children to think from different perspectives, to practice growth mindset, from having the thought that, oh, no, I cannot do it, to I can do that. Wow, I'm not good in that, so I may just need to work harder. These are two mindset. One telling you that you cannot do something, but then the other one telling you that, yeah, I'm not very strong in that. But then, yes, I can try and I may have to put more effort. So this is also shifting from one mindset to another mindset, or from one perspective to another perspective. For children who have strong cognitive flexibility, they are more likely to regulate their emotion by considering other people's perspective. So here we have come to an end. I hope you find this presentation useful. If you have any questions, you can call me or email me. And as mentioned earlier, I'm conducting research in emotion regulation and executive functioning. If you are interested to participate or you would like to encourage your child to participate in science, or you would like to get your child started in science young, you can also call me or email me for collaborations. So thank you, and I hope you enjoy it, and stay safe and take good care.